my name is Emma, and today I'm talking to you guys about my TBR challenge for 2016. I recently posted a wrap-up of all of the books I read for my 2015 reading challenge, and if you're interested in that video, I will leave a link to it below. So you can hear me talk all about that challenge in that video, but I decided to do the same exact thing again this year, just with different challenges. And so while this is meant to be a TBR challenge, last year I ended up picking books that weren't really on my TBR, and it wasn't really a TBR challenge, it was more a reading challenge. So this year I wanted to focus more on books that are actually on my TBR, whether I actually have them or not. So what you just saw before was me actually making my TBR jar for this year. Last year I used the Marauders map jar that Miss Essie Cassie made for me for one of the Buy No Bibliothons, but I wanted an actual TBR jar for this year, so I decided to go to Michael's, get some crafts, and make a pretty one that matched my room, and I'm really happy with it. I'm totally going to be using this in the future for future TBR challenges and whatnot. Look at it, it's got like a little handle, and like it's got like the little dots on the TBR on top, and there's flowers everywhere. I love it so much. So to explain what this TBR challenge actually is, I'm going to be picking out one randomly chosen challenge for each month, and in that month I have to pick out a new book to read that's on my TBR. So I'm going to be reading off all 12 of the challenges that I have picked for this year, and then we're going to be picking January's TBR challenge for this month in this video, so I'm excited to see what that is. Let's start with the challenges. In no particular order, these challenges are: read someone else's favorite book, finish a series you've already started. This is one that I was considering doing last year, where I didn't have a lot of series that I had started but not finished. I'm normally the type of person that just totally marathons a series, but in 2015 so many books came up and I couldn't read all the series at once. So this year I want to finish some of those series by using this challenge. Read a book from a genre you've read the least from this year. Read a book from a genre you've absolutely never read from. I am trying to dabble more with different genres, so I want to pick a genre that I have absolutely never read from before. There are a ton of genres out there that I've never touched, never considered touching. There's probably a lot of genres I've never even heard of, so I definitely want to read at least one of those this year. Start a series you've been putting off picking up. Read a book you know nothing about. I did one similar to this last year where I did like a random bookshop find, but this one I just want to pick whether it be something off on my bookshelf that I've just totally forgotten the synopsis of, or a new book that I've been hearing much about but really don't have a grasp on the synopsis of. Read a classic. I've never read a classic for leisure. All of my classics that I've currently read were all required reading in high school, so I definitely want to try and pick up at least one this year. Read a new release. I talked about this in my 2016 Bookish Resolutions video, and that's kind of connected to this, so if you want to check out that video, I will link it below. But I tend to buy a lot of new releases, and I pre-order them, and I have them the day of, and I just never get around to reading them. They sit on my shelf for months and months and months, and it's just like, what was the point of me buying it? So when that challenge comes along, I'm going to pick a new release for the month that I'm really excited for, and I'm finally going to get to reading it much sooner than the other ones. Read a book that's been on your shelf for over a year. Read a high fantasy novel. Now, I absolutely love fantasy. 4 out of my 12 bookshelves are dedicated just to fantasy books, if that puts it into perspective for you. But my thing is, I don't like high fantasy all that much. I tend to stick with urban fantasy. Urban or contemporary fantasy is my absolute favorite series. I love fantasy novels that involve magic and creatures and all of the things we love about fantasy in like a modern day world. It's just always seemed more magical to me, and all of the high fantasy that I've read so far haven't been my favorite. So I definitely want to try and pick up specifically a high fantasy novel, whether it be continuing on with the series or starting a new series, or maybe giving a series another go and rereading a book. I don't know what I want to do with this challenge yet. I just know that I want to try and push myself to read more high fantasy so I can explore all of the genres of fantasy that I want to love. Read a book that goes outside of your 4 staple genres. Now this can kind of be related to the challenge where I say I want to read a book from a genre I've never read from before, but most of my books, whether it be just books that I read in general or books that I buy, tend to be from 4 staple genres, which are fantasy, dystopian, sci-fi, and contemporary. And there are a ton of other genres out there that I've read from, that I've bought from, that I love, that I just don't focus on as much. So whether it be something like historical fiction or time travel or adult, anything, whether it be something that I've read or not read from before, I just want it to be a different genre. And the final challenge is to read a book your viewers recommend to you. This is all up to you guys as to what books I'm going to read this year. I am leaving this challenge totally up to you guys. So 2 days and 30 minutes of editing later, I realized that I never actually filmed myself picking out my challenge for January, which was one of the big points of me making this video for the TBR challenge. So I'm just gonna do that now. So I've got my lovely TBR jar that I've shown you, and we're going to pick my January challenge. Hopefully it'll be one that I'm like reasonably gonna be able to accomplish in month of January, even though it's already half over. Oh my god, what one is this one? Read a book your viewers recommend to you. Oh my god, this is the perfect one to start off with. So in the comments of this video, if you want to tweet me, or if you want to leave me recommendations on Instagram or my Facebook page, all of like my social media links are below. Definitely recommend me a book, and I'm going to be picking one of your books to read this month. I'd really prefer it to be a book that I already have, that I've hauled, and that I've never gotten to yet, because I really don't want to buy more books at the moment. But recommend a book to me! Normally when I pull out a challenge for the following month, I give you guys an idea of like what book I'm going to pick, but I can't because I have no idea what you guys are going to pick for me. So leave me comments and send me tweets and stuff about books that you want to recommend to me that you think I'll like, or if you just want to hear my thoughts on them, just recommend me books, and then that'll help me complete my TBR challenge for January. So that is my TBR challenge for 2016. This isn't like an official challenge or anything. There's no Goodreads group. I'm not really expecting anyone else to do it. I just thought that all of these challenges apply really well to me as a reader, and they're going to push my boundaries more than 2015 did. But if you feel like they apply to you, I definitely recommend giving it a shot, even if it's only a couple of these. I really like doing the one book a month TBR challenge. That way I don't feel overwhelmed by all of the books on my TBR, and I can still read the books I want to read. Let me know something about your expected TBR for 2016. Are there any books that you currently have on it? Are you doing a challenge like this? Or what are some things you want to do to complete your TBR this year? Anything TBR related, leave it in the comments below. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!